Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hi guys, and welcome to 1MinuteTennis.com. In today's session, I want to talk to you about the forehand, and specifically the Carlos Alcaraz forehand. I believe that Alcaraz has brought something new to the game in the forehand, because his forehand is much closer to the service stroke and to the biomechanics of the service stroke than any other forehand in history. When you look at the ending of high-level forehands for the last 20 years, then the wrist has been in extension. The wrist has various forms through the stroke. As we take the racket back, we have extension. This is extension, this is neutral, this is flexion. Extension, neutral, flexion. So we take the racket back and we have a mild extension, a little bit of a laid-back feeling of the wrist. And then we have supination as the racket turns around, and then pronation. But at the end of the stroke of every player, then the racket is now facing to the side and the wrist is in extension. In the service, which is a more powerful stroke, even more powerful than the forehand, then what happens is we have extension back here and then flexion at the end. And flexion here is caused by the snap of an elbow. So there is a wrist snap in the service. Some coaches say there isn't a wrist snap, but there is a wrist snap. But it's a byproduct of the elbow snap. The elbow snaps there, and then the wrist takes that energy and moves into a flexed position. But on the forehand, Alcaraz has the same elbow and wrist snap as the serve. When we look at his stroke, then he's in extension here, and then through to a normal contact. It's a straight arm forehand, but there's been many of those. But then as he finishes the stroke, his wrist comes through to flexion. When you try this, what happens is that the elbow is then elevated naturally. You see, if I finish here, then naturally the elbow is below the hand. The hand might continue to go down. This was often Federer's preferred stroke, but the elbow for most of the stroke and follow through is below the hand. But when you create the wrist snap that Alcaraz uses, then the elbow is elevated and there is a complete freedom of the arm. So he takes the racket back, through, and now through to flexion here. If I remove the racket, you can actually see with the arm more distinctly the differences that I'm talking about. So the normal forehand here, and Alcaraz's forehand here. And there is a natural snap. Without the racket, I can feel it more clearly. Even hand feeding, when I add this to the forehand, there's the normal finish, and now the Alcaraz finish. And the Alcaraz finish creates more of a whip-like motion. I should say even more. All the modern forehands have a very elastic whip-like energy, but this creates even more. It's even more extreme. The only thing that feels the same as this to me is the service action. Some coaches and some players don't see the importance of the follow-through and ending of the strokes, but they're actually essential because they really dictate what happens at the point of impact. As an example of how important the ending is to the stroke, imagine the 100 meters in the Olympics. What if they had a finishing wall instead of a finishing line? Would they run faster or slower? They would run slower. So they run for about 150 meters, but only get paid for 100. Why? Because they have to follow through. When you create the right energy and the right momentum, then it creates a natural follow through. And the position and type of follow through changes the impact with the ball. So the ending of almost every ATP Tour player and the ending of Alcaraz. See the distinct difference with the wrist. The Sinner ending, the Djokovic ending, the Federer ending, and the Alcaraz ending. So try this now, add flexion into the end of your forehand, and you'll find that the whole stroke is energized with more speed and more spin. I hope you like my ideas. Check out our books on Amazon. The books are truly unique because they're clearly illustrated, very clear explanations, including the science and biomechanics of the stroke, and every piece of information is linked to YouTube videos. So you're actually able to look at the actual techniques, to read about the techniques, and also watch the techniques. It's a complete service and it really works. Or for a more personal service, check out online coaching. I'm helping players in over 40 countries all over the world. For more information, email me or look at the website. So add the Alcaraz movement to your forehand. We have extension and then through to neutral And then when you add flexion at the end, you get a tremendous whip-like energy. You get more power, more spin with even less effort. Thanks for watching, and see you next time for more unique tennis lessons that really work.